Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Glasp Talk. Today we are very excited to have Noah Smith with us. So Noah is a renowned economist, writer, and commentator known for his sharp insights into economics, technology, geopolitics, and culture. And he is the founder and writer of Noahpinion, a widely read newsletter with nearly 400,000 subscribers that distills complex topics into engaging, digestible reads. With a PhD in economics from the University of Michigan and a background in physics from Stanford, Noah combines academic rigor with a unique ability to communicate big ideas clearly. And previously, Noah was a columnist for Bloomberg Opinion and assistant professor of finance at Stony Brook University. And today we will dive into Noah's perspectives on the global economy, the role of AI in discovery, and the cultural forces shaping our future. Thank you for joining us, Noah, today.
Well, thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you. So first of all, we are a huge fan of your newsletter and your content, but we are curious about your background and career. So it seems like you studied physics at Stanford and then switched to economics so later. But I see that there is 3 year gap, and when you graduated bachelor, finished from Stanford in 2003, and you started PhD program in economics in 2006. And what made you to switch from physics to economics, and what happened to you at that time?
Oh, so what happened was actually depression. So when I was in college, my mom died of an aneurysm, brain aneurysm,
Ah,
and I forget how to say that in Japanese, but it's like a burst blood vessel in your brain. And I became clinically depressed after that during my, middle or later years of college. And so because of that, I decided I had to have a life change. I didn't want to go back to physics. I was actually very good at physics, actually better at that than I am at economics. And I really liked it, but then I decided the associations for me were very negative because I had been very depressed, and so I wanted to make a change and do something else in life. But I didn't know what I wanted to do. So um, I then decided to go take some time, live in a foreign country, and then think about what I wanted to do with life. So I went to Japan because I had studied some Japanese in college and because it seemed like a great place. And so I lived in Osaka for those 3 years. And then during that time, applied to grad school and then returned.
I see. And you said you studied Japanese in college, but what made you to study Japanese, and what made you interested in Japan?
Good question. So actually, uh, I didn't have to do a foreign language requirement because I had taken Latin in high school and I passed out of the foreign language requirement by being very good at Latin. However, I kind of did always want to take a foreign language, so my senior year, I took an intensive Japanese course for the whole year because I wanted to do that. And then it was a little too late. I wish I had done it earlier so I could have done study abroad, but I didn't. I did it too late to do study abroad. So the reason I did it was because I saw this movie, Bachelor,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I thought that is like the most beautiful movie. I really loved it, and so um, yeah, I decided, oh, I'll take Japanese, and so I thought that was very fun to study a foreign language, and then I took a spring break trip to Japan my senior year, and that was my first time I'd been overseas, and I thought, wow, this is incredible. And so anyway, that's why I picked Japan.
Did Were you interested in Japanese anime? Because Japan is famous for anime, animation, manga,
Yeah, not
kind of pop
really.
culture.
No. I mean, I had seen some, like I occasionally enjoyed watching some anime with friends of mine. We watched like Berserk or Cowboy Bebop or some other ones like that. Or have you ever seen one called Vision of Escaflowne?
Vision
The
of
old
what?
one? Old one from the 90s. I mean, we saw it in the 2000s, but then yeah, so we saw that. But anyway, we saw a few of these, but then I wasn't really that much into it. I thought, oh, this is cool, but I wasn't like, otaku style. The stuff I liked from Japan was more kind of punk and underground stuff, things like uh, movies, like underground movies, or like indie movies, kind of like, do you know Ishii Sogo, like the movie
Mhm.
director, or Nakashima
Yeah.
Tetsuya, or like some Miike Takashi, or some guys like that. Um, or then some fashion. So like the street fashion in uh, things like Fruits magazine. I
Mhm.
thought that was so cool. Or like maybe like underground like rock music or just like indie rock music or something I really liked. Um, and then yeah, or some that was not indie, but stuff like Sheena Ringo I
Mhm.
really liked.
Yes.
Or The
Wow.
Pillows or uh, some other bands. And so I just thought, well, I like all this underground culture stuff, so that's what I was excited about to see in Japan.
I
I
see.
see. But was that made you to, but what made you to study economics, and especially in University of Michigan? You could have studied in Japanese like university, like a Tokyo University, Kyoto University, if you want to
Maybe
study
I could
economics,
have.
right?
Maybe I
Mhm.
could have. But then, in fact, I even thought about doing that. But then I decided that going to the U.S. would be more uh, like the U.S. is definitely the center of like economics research. And I wasn't confident enough in my Japanese ability to do like academia in Japanese. But maybe in retrospect, maybe I should have considered that. It might have been more fun. I don't know.
Mhm.
But Michigan was great. You know, it was. I really liked my advisor. One reason I picked Michigan was because I got a really good advisor. I found him searching through a whole bunch of professors. His name is Miles Kimball. I really liked
Mhm.
him, and so that was one reason I chose Michigan. Also, much of my family, like a lot of my family, goes to Michigan for undergrad. So my sister, my
Mhm.
dad, lots of others went to University of Michigan. I went to Stanford, but I was unusual in my family.
Oh, wow.
Most go to Michigan. And so then I thought it would be cool to live in Michigan for a little while. But if I could do my life over again, I might go to like a university in Japan for graduate school.
Eh, I see. Yeah, there are a lot of universities in Japan, so accepts like only English, so language, not like Japanese a must. Right? So not sure if at that time, but how was
Right.
like
At the time, it was a lot
yeah,
harder. There were
a
a
lot
couple
harder.
that I looked into it,
Mm,
and there were a couple who did it, but I was
mm.
not. I was not confident that it would really work.
I see. How was learning Japanese? Was it difficult for you?
No, Japanese
No,
is a very easy language, which is good for me because I'm lazy, and so it was very easy to learn. The grammar of Japanese is very simple.
not really.
Uh, Yeah, well, the grammar of written Japanese, like if you read a novel or a book, something that's high class, I guess, uh, or advanced, the grammar is a little more difficult because they have many dependent clauses. But
Interesting.
then
Yeah.
if you
Mm,
in the way people talk in Japanese is just run-on sentences. It's just
mhm,
like, nantoka toshite, nantoka de, like it's very easy grammar, I think. And then the pronunciation of Japanese is very easy because there's no sounds that we don't have in English.
mm.
And
Yeah,
so there
the
the
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that made us, Japanese people speak English harder, right?
right.
We don't have
Because we
our
have so
sounds
many
yet.
more
Yeah,
sounds.
yeah.
But like speaking like Hindi, for example, is more difficult because they have all these sounds we don't have. Even
Mm,
Korean has a few sounds we don't have. They have some vowels we don't have. But Japanese, it's all just like very simple vowels that, sounds that we have. And so that was very easy. And then I guess, memorizing kanji is hard, but it's not that hard. But then that's the hardest part of Japanese is kanji. But it's really not that hard. It's not as hard as like Chinese because you have to do more kanji in Chinese.
interesting. Because yeah, we talked to many foreign people learning Japanese. All of them say that Japanese is the hardest language I learned, something. So, but you are the first one. It's easy. Yeah.
I don't have any
Maybe
basis for comparison. I've never learned another foreign language.
But you learned physics, so you just dive into principle, then apply to it. Maybe that's why it's easy for you. Maybe, yeah.
You think Japanese has some physical principles?
Yeah, physical. You said grammar
Huh,
is easy. Maybe, yeah. Principle and
maybe.
apply. Yeah,
Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I just loved it. It was really fun.
yeah.
So,
Cool. And by the way, back to the topic, but you finished PhD in 2012, and then you became a writer. And I was always wondering what inspired you to transition from academia to writing full time.
oh, so actually, I started doing my blog in graduate school. I started doing my blog in uh, 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, sir.
What was the platform? So is that like
Blogger.
WordPress? A blogger. Okay.
Yeah. So you can see my blog. You can just look for No Opinion Blogger. It was still called No Opinion. And I just did it for free. It was fun. It was my hobby. And then I didn't really want to do academia, to be honest. My professor, my advisor, convinced me to try it for a couple of years because he said, "Oh, you might like it." But I didn't really like it. But I did it just because he is very convincing, and also, I to do something else for money. Um, there was nothing that I was very excited about. I could be like a consultant or something. Really, what I loved doing was my hobby of blogging. But I didn't think I could ever get paid to do that. So I was just needed a job. But then academia is, it's kind of interesting. I like, it's okay, but it's not really my thing. So I tried it a little bit like he recommended. And then, but then while I was there, Bloomberg came to me and offered to pay me to be a writer for them while I was working as a professor. So I said, okay, I'll do it. Because I can live anywhere I want and just do my hobby as a job because it's fun. And so that's how that happened.
And then, so you started writing on Substack, right?
Not immediately, no. So I was writing for Bloomberg, just and in my spare time, I would keep writing on my own blog. So I wrote many things every week. So I wrote on my own blog and Bloomberg at the same time. I wrote 5 things a week for Bloomberg and then maybe 3 things a week for my own blog.
Oh, wow.
And so I was writing a lot, and it was fun though. I loved it, and I still love it, And so I uh, I did that for years. Oh, excuse me. Starting in 2015, um, and then moved to San Francisco in 2016 and kept doing that. And then I didn't get on Substack until the end of 2020.
Right. Oh, so yeah, I saw on your LinkedIn that you started writing No Opinion on November 2020. Yeah, I see
Yeah,
that.
well, so my old blog was called No Opinion also. I just moved it to Substack.
I see.
And this is the first time I ever charged money for it. And actually, at first, I didn't charge money. I was just doing it for free. But then when I decided to leave Bloomberg, I started charging money.
I see. And you said you were writing like 2 to 3 articles for Bloomberg and then 2 to 3 for your own blog. How did
5
you
for
choose?
Bloomberg,
Oh,
2 to 3 for my own blog.
oh, sorry. So how did you choose? Oh, this is for Bloomberg and this is for my blog. And does it compete with each other, or did
Not
you be
really,
paused?
no. So the way I chose was basically um, most things I would write for Bloomberg, but something that would be speaking to a narrower, more academic audience or be unrelated to the topics that I wanted to write for Bloomberg, I would write on my blog. So there are many times I wanted to like discuss some data problem or some paper or some very nerdy stuff, and then I would do that on my own blog. And then, or I wanted to respond in detail to someone's post that they made. So I do responses on my own blog because that's not how Bloomberg posts are written. But if I just wanted to give some opinion on some issue, then I would do Bloomberg.
Yes. And I know you've been writing a lot of articles a week, but I was always curious, how do you choose the topic to write? Because
Oh,
do you is that based on the feedback from your readers, or from news you consume? I was curious, how do you come up with ideas to write?
Oh, so actually, that's the easiest part. I come up with way too many ideas. I come up with more than twice as many ideas as I write.
Oh, so
And the
you
way
don't
I don't
publish
have any
everything.
method of coming up with them. I just read things and then ideas pop into my head.
But how do
So
you,
how did
keep the ideas then?
Oh,
Because
excuse
you
me.
have a lot of ideas. And do you keep the ideas in Google Docs or
Yes, Google Docs.
nice? Interesting. But if you kept keeping the ideas in Google Docs, and does it go super long? And is
Yeah,
it
let me
harder
look at
to
how long it
find
is
ideas?
now. I have a document called Blog Posts to Write. How many pages? Now it's 22 pages long.
20 pages?
22, yeah.
Mhm.
Just filled
It's
with
a bullet
topics to
point?
write.
Oh,
I could count the number of topics, but it will probably be about 100.
I see.
and when you chose, like, what made you to like switch from Blogger to Substack? Is that because of the payment payable system?
No, email. So Blogger is just a website. You publish it
Mm,
and it appears on a website. Substack will send out emails to all your followers.
I see.
So that I
So
see.
the distribution was just much, much better.
And now you have around 400,000 subscribers. So how did it grow? So were there any like posts going, went viral, or like it's kind of like linear growth?
Linear, very linear.
Linear. I see.
And I remember maybe you or someone told me that the first subscriber was Mark Zuckerberg. I don't know if you can share, but yeah,
He
so
wasn't the
curious.
first, but he did subscribe at some point, yeah. Or at least someone
Oh,
in his team subscribed. I don't know if he ever reads it, but someone at his office is, reading it in his name.
oh.
He
Do you
probably
know
just
him personally?
I've never met him, no. He probably just you know, he probably has his office subscribed him to a million newsletters, but I don't know how much he actually reads because I've never met him, so I don't know if he has ever read it himself.
So
I
you
see.
don't get any feedback from him?
Never.
Never.
I should go meet him.
Yeah.
So in the newsletter, you cover so many topics like economics, geopolitics, and culture, and so on. And one thing I'm curious about is AIs and impact of AI. And
Yeah.
you recently wrote about AI. And so how do you see the AI truly impacting jobs and productivity in the coming years? Are we overestimating the robots will take all the job narrative?
Well, probably because people are really fixated on this idea. They really are thinking about it a lot, and they can't stop thinking about it. Evidence to the contrary just bounces off people's heads. Boo, like it doesn't go in. So for example, for many years, people said there will be no more trucking jobs. Trucks will be automated, and all the truckers will lose their jobs. And I had another Bloomberg writer yell at me. He said, "These people aren't going to have a future." How can you say we don't know what's going to happen? It's obvious what's going to happen. He yelled at me very strongly at lunch, and I was taken aback. Um, I said, "Well, we just don't know. We don't know whether we'll still decide we need drivers, human drivers." He just yelled at me and thought I was stupid, and he thought I was being intentionally stupid, intentionally ignorant. He thought I was pretending that he thought everybody knows the truckers will all be out of a job soon. Everybody knows it. It's an obvious fact. And he thought I was being dishonest by not admitting the obvious fact. That was in 2015. That was 10 years ago. It has been 10 years since then. The number of truck drivers employed is larger than ever. And there is a shortage of truck drivers now. They need so many truck drivers that they're having to raise wages a lot within the industry just to get humans. And all the self-driving truck companies have gone out of business, including a company my friend was doing. So, called Embark. They went out of business or got acquired for their technology or, just something that it's not working. Will it ever work? Maybe it will. Will we still have humans in the loop just in case of some problem? Maybe we will. And truck drivers will just sit there while the truck drives and just be a monitor. I don't know. But here's the point. There what the truck driving apocalypse that this guy predicted, that my colleague predicted, never happened. It didn't happen in 10 years. And but there's no learning. He doesn't learn. Nobody learns. Nobody's learned from that. Nobody apologizes. Nobody says, I was wrong. I didn't understand how technology affected the economy and jobs. And maybe I don't understand the next time either. Maybe this is more complicated than I can understand. Maybe I am fundamentally ignorant and my knowledge is limited and I shouldn't be so confident about things that I don't know. I should understand why economics is so complicated and I should look at the history and look at the, theory and understand why these things are complicated and I can't just use common sense to decide the answer. But I don't, that's what people should have taken from this failure of prediction. But here's another. Geoffrey Hinton won the Nobel Prize for helping to invent AI. He had declared that within 5 years, radiologists will be gone because AI will read scans.
Yep.
But it's been 5 years. There's more radiologists than ever, and there's a shortage of radiologists.
Mm.
He was totally wrong. And yet they never ever learn. They just keep making the same prediction again and again and again, and it keeps being wrong and wrong and wrong. Now, I'm not telling you that they'll never be right because I'm not so arrogant to assume that I know that they'll never be right. But what I do know is that they are overconfident. They don't really know all the things they think that they know. And they keep making these confident predictions. Everybody's obsessed with this idea that AI will take away jobs. It keeps not happening. Does that mean it will never happen? No, I don't know. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I don't actually understand enough to make a prediction. But I understand that they also don't understand. Okay. And so I keep saying we don't know. And then they keep being wrong and they never learn. They never become less confident. They just keep making the same confident prediction again, ignoring the fact that they were wrong the last time. And it frustrates me.
Yeah, but we don't know. Yeah, as you mentioned, we don't know the future. So it could happen, but couldn't happen then. We don't know. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. It could happen, but might not happen.
Do you use any AI tools for writing, for, yeah, whatever?
I use O3 to proofread my posts, and it catches most, but not all typos. When I use it, then I'll use it to do like background research. So I do my own literature search, but then I have it do a literature search too, O3. And it catches a lot of papers I miss, but then I catch a lot of papers it misses. So actually, me plus the AI is currently good. I do not use AI to create text for me.
Okay, but have you tried it? Not
Yes,
yet.
many
You-
times.
Many times.
Every time a new model comes out, I try it.
I see.
Didn't work. Doesn't work.
Well, the quality is okay. It's the quality is what an undergraduate working for an online news site would write. It has confident hallucinations. It makes hallucinations that it then never admits were wrong, and it just keeps running with them and keeps inventing new lies to cover up its old lies.
Mhm.
So it's like a liar who doesn't want to get caught, just keeps making up new lies to cover the old ones. Never admit you're wrong. It does lots of other problems too. It's useful. It's good. I would, if I were writing a high school essay, I would certainly use that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, my friend is working on something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But then it's not for what I do,
Mhm.
it's not yet useful enough to just push a button and generate something. Maybe it will never be, maybe it will be. I don't know. But hallucinations seem like a problem that's not solved by scaling. So maybe we'll solve it with some other algorithmic innovation.
Should be. Yeah. And I recently read an article that there are many like AI generated articles, and so AI learns from it. Then there are many garbage, so garbage in, garbage out. So not sure if it's, yeah, there are many hallucinations in the future again, but
Right.
yeah.
And what very soon we might actually see AI training become more difficult because the web is getting filled, the basic data sets are all getting filled with LLM generated content. And one thing that's a pretty consistent conclusion from research findings is that training LLMs on LLM generated content makes them worse. It's called model collapse,
I see.
but it used to be called modal collapse, and people just they changed the word and started calling it model collapse. But anyway,
Mhm.
um, yeah. So, so we could see that be a problem in the years to come of
Yeah,
AIs not being able to train correctly because they're training on their own output.
yeah, totally. And you mentioned you are researching with, ChatGPT O3, and so you are writing many topics and covering many topics. What is your like source of information usually? So what kind of
Oh, many.
article, but you can list up some
Yes.
many like.
So, news articles, blog posts, especially now on Substack, um, papers, economics papers, a lot of them, sometimes other papers, but mostly in economics because those are the ones I understand.
Mhm.
Um, sometimes Twitter, although it's getting much worse, so now I don't use it much. And then private research reports from like McKinsey or something.
I see. How much do you spend for researching or reading usually a day?
Oh, it really depends. Only occasionally will I do a lot of research for a post that I'm writing. Usually I read stuff because it's interesting, and then I write about it later when it's important. And so it's very difficult to tell my leisure research from my work research.
Mhm. And after you read something interesting, so do you keep those newsletter or papers somewhere like Notion, Google? It's still Google Doc, or how do you keep ideas? Remember
Google Docs.
Google Docs. Okay, interesting.
So when I see an interesting article or paper or something, I copy the link and I put it under the correct heading in Google Docs corresponding to the post I want to write in the future.
Interesting. And now it's like
How about
22 pages, like
It's currently
on Google
22
Docs? Sorry.
pages.
Yeah.
Are
yeah,
you
yeah,
asking a
page.
question?
Yeah, yeah, asking question. Yeah, 22, docs, like pages.
What's the question?
Yeah. Now you are like Google Doc has 22 pages, right?
That's correct.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
So, and regarding the AI and the leadership, so it seems like US is leading in this space, like AI space nowadays. But China is catching up, and they release a lot of open source project and products. And do you think the US can continue to maintain its top position in this field in the future?
I'm not sure. I feel like uh, I'm not 100% sure, honestly. Um, yeah, no, I'm the wrong person to ask about this, especially
I see.
because I think that it's there are different areas of AI. So I think China's now number one in computer vision, but then US is number one in large language models, and then there's a bunch of other AI things, and I'm not sure who's, ahead.
I see. But in your like how I would regulate AI essay, you warn that heavy-handed rules can backfire. It's hard to predict what rules will make tech safer but easy to inadvertently
Right.
stifle like progress, right? And what kind of like a regulation and can reduce the risk in your opinion without smoothing innovation, smothering innovation. Sorry.
So the thing about regulation is we should make rules for things we understand. With AI regulation, people are very eager to make rules for something that they don't understand yet, that no one understands yet. So I would say watch to see how the thing works in reality, and then make your rules around that. And be prepared to change the rules as the capabilities of the technologies change quickly. But trying to anticipate where the technology will go in 5 years and making a rule now that will apply in 5 years and keep us safe is stupid. Like, that just doesn't make sense. You can't predict where it's going to be in 5 years. So you can't really make rules that will apply in 5 years. The only thing you can do is be nimble and adaptable. You have to be willing to change the rules quickly. Unfortunately, America is less like this than Japan. Japan actually has better adaptability in terms of rulemaking because in Japan, rules are made by komuin, bureaucrats, whereas in
Mhm.
America, they are made by laws and lawsuits.
I
We do
see.
too many things by the courts. We should have a bureaucracy instead for some of those things.
Mhm.
Do you like occasionally check the regulations of each country? Or how do you I know you are catching
Sometimes.
up, what's happening in the
Yeah,
world, but
sometimes. Oh, that's
yeah.
something you can really ask AI about. AI will describe the regulations in each country. And once in a while, it'll get it wrong. So if you write something that where you have to get this thing right, you should check carefully first. But I think in terms of backgrounders on regulation, it gives very good backgrounds on the regulatory environments in different countries. Excuse me.
Oh no, yeah.
No.
And I think some people are, oh, sorry, another topic, but some people are concerned about current tariffs happening. And we've seen a lot of major tariff announcements lately, and including 35% tariff on Canada, which is America's top trading partner, and 25% tariffs on Japan and South Korea. They are both US allies, but the
Right.
inflation hasn't really gone up, right? So, and I read your blog post, but why is that? And then should we be worried about it?
Yeah, I would be worried, but then we don't really know what's going to happen. America is being ruled by a crazy king.
Mhm.
Imagine an old king who goes crazy. Maybe he started out a little crazy, but he's getting very, very old. He's older than Biden was at the same time in his presidency.
Yes.
Oh,
He's the oldest
I
president
didn't
we've
know
ever
that.
had.
Mhm.
And he's going mentally downhill but he's so popular among Republican base. They love him so much that no other Republican can stand up to him. Even Elon Musk tried and failed
Mhm. I
and was
see.
basically kicked out of the movement because even Elon Musk could not stand up to Trump. And so
So,
we have a mad king in America.
Mhm.
should we prepare for or brace the impact, like
Yeah.
inflation for the future, or
Mhm. Inflation?
yeah,
Maybe.
or
But I think Japan doesn't have to worry about inflation as much.
Okay. And how do
why
you
is that?
oh yeah.
Sorry,
Why?
why is
Oh,
that?
because
Yeah.
first of all, Japan structurally has forces pushing you toward deflation, so it's harder to get as much inflation as in America. But also because if the US puts tariffs on Japan, that raises prices for America, but for Japan, it doesn't really raise prices because Japanese exporters will then sell their domestic prices will match the after-tax price they're getting overseas, not the pre-tax price. So they will actually have an incentive to drop prices in Japan. So tariffs in America are deflationary for Japan.
And how do you see the US future after 3.5 years, like after incumbent president?
Even more stupid than now, man.
How come?
Well, because the real problem with America isn't Trump. I mean, Trump is a problem, but the real problem is social media.
Okay.
America was always a country that depended on people with different ideas and different lifestyles being able to spread out and all coexist by not living next to each other. When the internet, when social media came, it took all the different kinds of Americans and basically put them in one room together.
Mhm.
And our country is not built for that. Japan is built for that because you already knew what it was like you knew what other Japanese people were like 15 years ago, 20 years ago. But Americans didn't know what other Americans were like.
Mm.
It was so big and diverse. And then they found out all at once. And so now the social conflict is just happening across every level of society because Americans are been forced together, whereas Japanese people were already used to living together.
I see. Then
That's
so
my theory anyway.
yeah, but there should be any regulations. So for like social media companies, internet companies. So what kind of regulation should be, do you think?
I don't know what kind of regulation can help this.
Okay.
Sorry, I mean, the question could be like the issue is algorithm
Oh,
on the
I'm
social media,
sorry. I don't
or
mean to interrupt you. I do
yeah,
know one
mm,
regulation that can
yeah.
stop this, which is ban phones in schools
Only schools?
because it's the only time we're able to ban phones.
Ah,
Other times
interesting.
it's not legal. We
Okay.
can't ban phones in companies. That's illegal.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
Ban phones in schools. Get kids off the internet for most of the day.
So do you live for your kids as well?
If I had kids, of course.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, got it.
Yeah. Ban all
But
phones in schools.
is the issue more like the algorithm, like on the social media, or the people who believe in the information, or
Both.
which? Both sides.
Both. Both are a problem. In fact, I wrote an interesting article about this a while ago where I showed research papers showing that both of these effects are important.
Yes. One more thing I'm curious about is the US-China decoupling, and how far do you think US-China decoupling go, and how should founders prepare for that?
Well, US-China decoupling is mainly a Chinese initiative. Most
Mm.
of the decoupling has been China's goal. So China has imported a lot fewer imported components from the US because they want to be economically independent of the US.
Mhm.
And this will also be Chinese decoupling from Japan. So Japanese companies are now not as able to sell things to Chinese companies because China has been basically pushing its companies to make all the stuff at home and to basically separate themselves from a technological ecosystem, the global technological ecosystem. So the most of the decoupling is that so far. But what people talk about is America buying less stuff from China. But really, what's more important so far is China buying less stuff from America
Mhm.
and from Japan and Korea and Europe and those places. This is hitting Germany really hard right now.
H-
So,
How how does
because
it
Germany was
hit?
selling a lot of machinery and components to China, and now China is aggressively trying to push out German companies.
I see. Can these relationship, like international relations, get better in the future, or will it be worse by
They will
worse?
be better at some point in the future, but as long as Xi Jinping is in power in China, it will be difficult to get better.
I see.
Xi Jinping is honestly he's kind of stupid, if I'm being perfectly frank, because he's not a smart guy. Um, he was not good in his education, and he grew up during a time of poverty when his worldview was very limited and narrow. And but at the same time, he is extremely overconfident. He's self-confident. He believes he should control everything. He should rule everything. If you look at the people, now sometimes he does delegate. He sometimes assigns some other people to work to be the head of some of these party commissions and groups that he's officially the head of. So guys like Kai Chi or whoever. Um, the problem is that those guys are all old, not very smart, and they're just 100% loyal to Xi Jinping. He prizes loyalty above all else. And so he surrounds himself with all these people who just say, "Yes, sir. You're right, sir. You're so brilliant, sir. Everything you say is right, sir. You're winning." And this is why he's dumb, because he doesn't get the perspective to understand when he makes mistakes.
Mhm.
And so he made a big mistake with zero COVID. He made a big mistake with the IT crackdown on tech companies that later they worked very hard to try to reverse. Um, he did the real estate bubble in a bad way. He hasn't done stimulus. He hasn't done enough bailouts. He's not fixing property taxes. He's not fixing the local governments. Belt and Road has been a disaster. Chinese diplomacy has been bad. I mean, he's not as bad as Trump because he's not just this insane old guy who's trying to wreck his country for fun, right? But he's not as bad as Trump, but he's not great.
Mhm.
And so I think that, but he's also 72 years old. And leaders usually start going downhill around 75 to 78.
Mhm.
That's usually when they really go downhill. And um, when leaders get older, they start getting paranoid. They start thinking, "Oh, the younger people are going to push me out. I have to fight hard against the younger people to push me out, who want to push me out. I got to stay in power." And so once they get into that mode, they focus fully inward and not outward. And so I think Xi Jinping may be starting to get in this mode. We've seen a little bit of evidence. We don't really know what's happening inside China, I think, but we've seen he's taking many fewer meetings and doing less travel. He's firing a lot of people in the military that he hired. He's
Mhm.
firing his own guys that he hired earlier. That's kind of crazy, right?
Mhm.
He's disappearing from view, making fewer public appearances, doing very short meetings instead of long meetings. His health could be bad, but
Mhm.
he's increasing his purges and attacks on other people. You know, Japanese government has many problems, but you haven't ever had this problem
Mhm.
because in Japan, no one person ever gets very strong.
Yes. Yeah.
But then
Mhm.
in when one person gets very strong, you get this kind of thing. I think Deng Xiaoping was the great master of politics in China. The system he created was supposed to prevent people from getting too strong so that they wouldn't be like Mao Zedong, right?
Mhm.
He didn't want them to be like Mao. So he made a system that he thought would prevent power from being centralized under one guy. So if you look, Jiang Zemin, you know these guys, right? It's not the Japanese name, but you know who I'm talking about, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Okay. So Jiang Zemin was less powerful than Deng Xiaoping. Hu Jintao was even less powerful than Jiang Zemin.
Mhm.
Those guys were picked by Deng Xiaoping.
Mhm.
He picked them in advance to be his successors. But after that, he didn't pick anyone. So Xi Jinping was picked.
Mhm.
And he became the kind of dictator that Deng was afraid of, centralizing all power within his own individual person. And so, because of that, China now has the classic problems of dictatorship. And
Mhm.
as Xi Jinping gets older and older and gets less and less secure, he may worry about fighting the other people. Also, they have realized that he's not competent,
Mhm.
but he's so good at internal politics that they can't do anything about it. This is also true in the Republican Party in America. All the Republicans know Trump is stupid and crazy. The conservative writers, even the right wing guys, even the most like Uyoku guys, they know Trump is a complete idiot and just old. You know, he's going mentally downhill and he's kind of crazy.
Mhm.
But there's nothing they can do about it. They can't challenge him in public. Elon Musk tried and he failed.
Mhm.
So this is the problem when you have these leaders who seem very, very strong and are very, very good at crushing internal enemies, but then are not effective leaders for the outside. So this is a big problem.
I see. And I was wondering if you were, or you could become the president of the United States, or I don't know if you want to be, how would you
Yeah.
handle the situation?
Never.
If you were, yeah.
Um, if I uh, could was the president of the United States, I mean, there's lots of different things I would do, but yeah, what would I mean? I would do. You mean if I could just control policy myself?
Yes, yes.
Oh, I would try to make it easy to build things in America. That would be my most important policy. Housing, factories, infrastructure, things like that. And I would make close alliances with, of course, Japan, Korea, India, Europe, and all these countries so that we can all have complete free trade between us. So that, and then I would coordinate our industrial policy so that we make sure that every industry doesn't depend on China. Every important industry doesn't depend on China. That we can do it somewhere within our system of alliances. And I would make that system as big as I could, even include like Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, if I can. Uh, Turkey, obviously. Include all these countries, and then Latin America, if I can. Maybe they wouldn't do it, but then maybe they will. And I would try to make this system as big as possible and make sure that together we make sure we're not dependent on China. And I would have it be so within this alliance system, nobody fights anybody else. We don't have any trade arguments. We're all friends. We all cooperate.
I
And that
see.
would be what I would do.
Interesting. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. And this is a random question, but
Of course.
since a kid, I was wondering, like, there are some people who won the Nobel Prize in economics, right? And I was wondering, because politics is not all about economics, but economics it's a large part of politics. And can like a Prize winners in economics become the president so that can handle the situation better? Or sorry, this
Um,
is a dumb question. Yeah.
I don't know that Nobel Prize winners in economics are right to be the president. I like Paul Krugman, he's amazing, but I don't think he'd be good as a president. Or any Nobel Prize winner that I know of. I can't think who would be a good president. Nobel Prize winners do research. They're not, that doesn't mean they're good at administrating. Now, a Fed chair maybe could be a good president because they're used to running stuff. So in Canada, you now see a former central bank head becoming president or prime minister of Canada. And so Mark Carney, he's really good, smart economist. So a smart economist can do it, but they have to have experience in managing a large organization.
So it's a
Just an
different skill
academic
set. Yeah.
researcher will believe in theories too much.
I see. Thank you. So switching the topic to your book and Weeb Economy, and we read your book, Weeb Economy, and we really enjoyed it. And
Thank
but
you.
I was curious, why did you write the Weeb Economy? And also you publish it only in Japanese, right? Could you tell us our audience about the book and also why did you write it?
The book is about so a dream of mine was always to write a book that could give some economic ideas for Japan. And so I've finally achieved my dream. Although
Yeah.
there will be a second book and maybe a third, but definitely a second book. Probably next year I'll write it. But I'm going to write an English language book in the meantime. But anyway, the reason I wrote it was because I sensed that in Japanese economic policy and in the Japanese economy, there was a gap. And that gap, I thought that gap should be closed. And that gap was greenfield investment. There's almost none in Japan, but it would be a great place for greenfield investment. And, I met with the head of the Economic Development Board of Singapore. Singapore is a very rich country, much richer than Japan or America. Although they're just a small city, but they still are extremely rich. And so I asked this woman, she's the head of the EDB, head of Economic Development Board in Singapore. How do you do industrial policy? She said, all we do is FDI. That's our only thing. She said, you can't name a Singaporean company except Temasek, but that's just does domestic stuff. They're not a real high-tech company. You can't name a Singaporean company because Singapore is an extension of the economy of the United States of America. We just invest there and do things there, and then that's how they get rich.
Nice.
But Japan can't be that, and it shouldn't be that. It's too big to be that. But you can add that as one piece. You know, economy should have many pieces, right? You can have domestic investment for export. You can have domestic investment for selling domestically. You can have all kinds of pieces. You can have government. You can have private sector. You can have universities doing research. You can have all of these sectors of the economy, but foreign companies using your country to make things to export to the rest of the world is an important piece of the economy that Japan doesn't really have. But you'd be so good at it, right? Actually, America does have a good amount of this. US has this, but Japan doesn't have that much of this. And Japan is a great place to make things. You've got great planning. You know, you can build stuff quickly, not as quickly as China, but much more safely and much more quickly than America or Europe. You can, and for low cost. Japanese costs are low, but productivity is high. You have a good supply chain. There's good talent in Japan, and it's a liberal country where you don't have to be afraid that your company will be seized by the government. Property rights are protected, and it's safe. It's a great place to live. Everybody loves living in Japan. It's the perfect place for greenfield investment, and yet there's almost none. We could fix this. This can be fixed. I'm sure it can be fixed.
Yes. And we see, in the book, as you wrote in the book, we see some example like a TSMI created the new
TSMC.
plant in TSMC, yeah, created a plant in Kumamoto Prefecture.
Yeah,
we
2
see
plants, I
this
think.
movement. Oh yes, yes. But how should push that forward and more like invite more uh foreign companies to build
Well,
something?
you need the people in the government to agree that this is good. And the way to get them to agree that it's good is to stress the purpose of this is for exports.
Mm.
Inviting foreign investment, the purpose of foreign investment should be exports. Once they understand that, they will encourage foreign investment. The people in the government need to stop thinking about FDI as being about about imports, selling things into Japan. They have to stop that. They have to think about greenfield investment for exports. The purpose of foreign companies investing in Japan should be so that Japan can make things for the rest of the world. And doing so, you get foreign technology and you learn all the foreign technology. Learn how to do all the things. And so that's the purpose of FDI. And so Japanese government people should understand that. Once they understand that, the motivation will be there. Next, we need a marketing campaign. We need the Japanese government to tell everybody Japan is the place to make things for the rest of the world. Japan is the best platform for manufacturing, for research, for whatever you want to do. In the future, you can even do software. Right now, Japan is very weak in software, but I have a plan for this too. I have a plan for everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
could
would
you
love
tell
to
us? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, do you want to talk about software?
Yes.
Yeah, would
Okay.
love to learn that. Yeah.
The reason Japan has bad software is because Japan doesn't have software engineers. Software is not well, so AI is capital intensive because of data centers, but software itself is not capital intensive. It's labor intensive. It's human capital intensive. You need software engineers. Everything, engineers are like the oil of software. They're the raw material. They are the material you use to make software, is software engineers. That's still true in the age of AI. So Japan doesn't have many software engineers because most Japanese people don't go into software. And if you hire software from overseas, there's no good software people within the Japanese companies to lead them and to use them. So it doesn't help much. It only helps a little bit. It's not about hiring coders. You need software people in the organizations who go up and up and up and know how to incorporate software into the product and into the production process and into the business models and into the business processes. You need software people. Japan doesn't have software people. So it's time to train them. Train software people in Japan. Create elite coding schools at every good university in Japan. Todai, Kyodai, Keio, Waseda, everywhere. All right. Everywhere should have an elite coding school as part of the school. Elite software engineering school. This will make software prestigious. But you need jobs for these people. I have an idea for the initial job. The, the initial job should be national security. Japan should create an elite cybersecurity unit to block North Korea and China and Russia. And Japan should create an elite AI unit to make sure Japan has the best AI. The government should do these things. And it should hire people from the top coding schools to do it. This will create demand, and even more importantly, it will create prestige. In the old days, why did Todai become prestigious? Because if you graduated from Todai as a law major, you could become a komuin, and you could be in charge of the whole country of Japan. And then after you were done with your career, you could go work at some big company and make a lot of money.
Mhm.
That was prestigious. The government created the demand for these schools, and so it became very prestigious. Why did engineering become prestigious in Japan? Because these big engineering companies would hire the engineers from the top schools. Software companies can hire in Japan. So you could get Google or Facebook or Amazon or these software companies to hire people from these schools. But foreign invested companies are not quite as prestigious in Japan as local companies, and local companies aren't as prestigious as the government. Government is probably still maybe less prestigious than before, but still elite government unit would be the most prestigious thing you could do. Honestly, America did this already. We did this. We have Sandia National Laboratories. Do you know Sandia?
Oh, no.
I'm
It's a
here.
national laboratory run by the government for cryptography.
Mhm.
Actually, our national cryptography labs came from World War II.
Mhm.
They were trying to break the codes. And then eventually that became, in the Cold War, it really scaled up to become a lot of cybersecurity, cryptography, all kinds of things like that. And they hired the best applied math people, the best software people. And then those people became really, really good software engineers. And then some of them went into like finance, hedge funds and high finance. Some of them went into private industry. But they became the base of a really amazing generation of software engineers in America. Japan can do the same thing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for
That's my idea.
the advice. Yeah, idea. Yeah,
What do you
sharing
think?
the ideas. Yeah, I think that makes sense. And I know some business leaders in Japan, and their background is from business side, and they don't know much about software technologies, and so that sometimes it depends on the situation, but sometimes they underestimate this is especially like now thanks to AI, anyone can build anything in 5 minutes, and business leaders who don't have any engineering background could build something in 5 minutes. They assume, oh, maybe engineers could do the same, or do we need engineers? So it means like it could reduce the software engineering skill set and also understandings, I think. So yeah, we should change the situation, I think, in
Right.
that sense.
You
Yeah.
need software talent. Japan lacks software talent,
Mhm.
but you could get it with prestige. Prestige is the key. It's how to motivate people. It's true in America too, although in America, people are more motivated by money. In Japan,
So
people are less motivated by money. People would like to be rich, but they don't need to be super rich.
I see.
Like, no one in Japan cares about being a billionaire. Because why would you? Life doesn't get better in Japan past being a millionaire.
Mm.
Like, if
Yeah.
you're a millionaire in Japan, that's it. That's the best life you can have. A billionaire doesn't actually get you extra. But in America, you
Sometimes
get lots
people
of extra.
envy.
Pardon?
Yeah, sometimes there are some anti-fans to billionaires. So if you have more money and power, so some people like criticize and hate you so that you get more attention from those people. And yeah, billionaire is, I think, the right place. Yeah, for some people.
Right.
And yeah.
Right.
But anyway, so would you recommend these like ideas, like a software engineer talents, and also like a greenfield investment to other countries, not only Japan? Other countries should follow the same thing, or
Yes. Yes. Poland is a great example of a country that Poland, I think this year is becoming richer than Japan.
oh
I
really?
see.
Wow.
Yeah, they went from a poor communist country to richer than Japan in just a few decades, 30 years.
Or what happened to them?
Greenfield investment.
Oh, it was. Oh wow.
Yeah, basically everyone in the EU builds all their factories in Poland. And so then Poland learned all these technologies, and now people do their research in Poland too. So everyone just invested in Poland. And now it's rich. I mean, Poland is smaller than Japan. But Poland has about 40 million people. So maybe 1/3 the size of Japan. That's a lot smaller, but it's not as small as Singapore. And yet, using mostly FDI, I mean, there are some Polish companies or Polish brands, but could you name any? Could you tell me a Polish brand of something?
No.
I can't think of any.
Me neither. I can't think of a single one. I looked up a large list and I immediately forgot them because you don't buy anything from them. Poland doesn't even have brands, but with only greenfield investment basically from other countries, they managed to become richer than Japan.
Wow.
Pretty
Interesting.
amazing.
Yeah.
So I don't think Japan should copy that and try to only do greenfield investment. But I think if you take that, it's a missing piece. If you take that and add it to your economy, I think Japan's GDP could increase by 25% or more.
Wow.
It's huge.
Maybe 1/3, increase by 1/3. It's
Yeah,
huge
I think,
opportunity.
yeah.
It could just be enormous. Look, everyone wants to get out of China. Not because of tariffs or any policy, but just because they know that China is going to push them out anyway. They know China's a bad place to do business. Japan's a great place to do business. I know Japan's much smaller than China, but if you could get only 10% of the people leaving China, you could increase Japan's income by a huge amount. And not just income, but technology. Japan could be at the center of global technology ecosystem again, like it was in 1994.
Like 30 years ago, right?
Yeah, 30 years ago. You could go back to that level of technological importance. But you need that greenfield investment because you need to absorb the technology from the foreigners and then build on that to, make things for the whole world. And then everybody has to use the technological standards that Japan makes.
I see. Yeah.
So yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
the way to
thanks
do
for
it.
sharing. Yeah, thanks for sharing the ideas and
Anyway,
also, yeah.
I love this
yeah,
idea. I think
insights.
it's really,
Yeah,
Did
I
you
love
give
that
those
too.
ideas to politicians in Japan?
I have said these ideas to some politicians in Japan.
Was it changing? So is it
I don't
changing
know.
or no?
It'll take a long time to change. Politicians are important, but bureaucrats are also important. So I'm talking to people in Keisansho and maybe Zaimusho as well. And then Jetro, of course, whose actual job is this. So I'm talking to those people. Hopefully, we'll change some things. Meeting a bunch of people in the startup world. Hopefully, going to meet people in the big company world to tell them. But politicians are important. And I met Tamaki-san, politician.
From Kokumin Minshuto?
Yeah,
I see.
and he liked the idea. And then I met some Jiminto guys, and then I don't know if they liked the idea or not, but they agreed to read it. So I need to just meet more people.
Yes.
I don't
Do
think
you guys see a
Sanseto is going to like
change?
my idea.
Yeah, so exclusive. Yeah, anyway, so
Yeah.
your latest post was about like sunset, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so do Japanese politicians understand that, greenfield investment to Japan is for export, not for like entering Japanese market? And what is important thing or key to convince those politicians that Greenfield investing is for export?
Well, I don't think they understand it yet. And as
Okay.
for how to convince them, I think,
Because yeah, Japan has a huge market. Then after they entered as a greenfield investment, they can enter Japanese market later, right? Not exporting. Yeah, as well as
sure,
exporting, right?
sure, but you can give incentives for exports. So you can give
Okay.
tax breaks if
Mm-hmm.
they export. China did that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You can say if you do greenfield
Excellent.
investment, if you a
Mm-hmm.
certain percent of your products are sold overseas, you get no taxes. Or not,
Mm-hmm.
maybe low taxes, low taxes.
I see.
So
That
then,
makes sense. Mm-hmm.
and then you also, not just low taxes, you get expedited permitting. You get to build things faster.
Mm-hmm.
You get access to certain services. You can do so many things for countries. Say, if you export this much, you get low taxes.
I see. And there are many fields for greenfield investment, so like semiconductor or AI software, whatever. But so what kind of field or industry so should match the best with Japan?
Oh, well, so semiconductors are obvious big one, right? That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there are many other industries connected with semiconductors in the electronic components industry. Robotics. Japan should have robotics companies, but they don't. They need better robots. Um, Industrial, machine tools, industrial machinery kind of things. That's an important one because it connects pretty closely. AI, obviously, AI is important. Japan can build data centers and get energy for data centers, and you'll need to turn on all the nuclear power plants, but I think they'll do that. But then in terms of other industries, those industries. Oh, drones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have no
Uh,
drone. Yeah, we have
Yeah,
some.
drone industry
Yeah,
should be a big
yeah.
target for Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, of course, EVs should be big, but then, the legacy companies are for that. Like Toyota needs to make EVs, and I don't know how to get them to do that. But then, well, I do, but it's another topic of conversation, so it's not related to this. But in terms of FDI, I would say semiconductors, uh, electronic components, machinery, robotics, AI, and drones. Those all go together.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you get software talent, then you can start doing software industry as well. This beyond only AI.
I see.
But then that's for the farther future. Right now, Japan has lots of strength in manufacturing type industries. But then the talent and the capital and these things are not being used effectively by existing companies. Japan's exports are not very high. It's
Mm-hmm.
higher than it was actually. It's 22% maybe, 21% of GDP, which is higher than before. Before it was only 15% of GDP. But Japan can do better, export more. You could raise that. I believe you can raise that to 30%, at least 30% of GDP. And that would make Japan 10 times richer, not 10 times, sorry, 10% richer. And then there was the multiplier effect where other things, then once people sell more to the world, then they can do more stuff at home. So then the rest of GDP goes up too. So I think overall, this could make Japan 25% richer. That's my guess.
I see. Yeah.
And we will see the results in the future. In 10 years, 20 years, I think we may change, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So get started now. It took the
Yeah.
tourism campaign 10 years to make everybody start visiting Japan.
Mm-hmm.
An investment campaign would take 10 years, but it would start working within 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
but it would only reach maximum level within 10 years.
I see. Yeah.
And regarding the future and vision, and which upcoming technologies do you think the most underrated for the next couple of decades? So if you have any ideas.
Well, I think that whether it's underrated depends on which country we're talking about. So, for example, in America, I would say that batteries and electric like anything powered by electricity, like robots, highly underrated. But in China, these things are correctly rated. China understands that these are important. So it's overrated, it's underrated in America, not underrated in China.
Why is it underrated in the US? Is it because of the
That's a really good question, and I'm not 100% sure of the answer. But I think one reason is because those new technologies threaten to be disruptive to many people's old way of life, and people are scared of change. In China, people see opportunity. In America, they see a threat. That's the main reason, I think. It's like, we are now in the position that China was in the 1800s. In the 1800s, the European countries had all this industrial technology, steamships and manufacturing and mining. And in China, everyone was afraid of this technology. They didn't use it because they said, if we use this technology, our powerful, rich families will be less rich because there'll be disruption. New people will get rich, the old people will fail. Also, people might use the new technology to challenge the government, and the government would be in trouble. So everyone who had power in China in the 1800s, they were afraid of change because they were afraid that it would lead to different people having power. So they ignored the industrial technology for so long that then the European powers were able to take advantage of them, and even invade them in the Opium Wars. And so then this was a big mistake for China. But in America now we are in that position. People who are in the fossil fuel industry are afraid that electric technology could displace fossil fuels. People who are in the uh, utility industry are afraid that new kinds of power could displace utilities. People who are in the who make old types of machine tools are afraid that robots could displace those. People who are workers are afraid that robots could change their jobs or displace their jobs. They don't see opportunities, they see threats. And because they see threats, they resist new things. And because they resist new things, China is beating us. In the old
but
days, we always embraced the new, 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 new. And we still do it in software. We do it with AI. We're embracing new things, but we're not embracing new things in physical technology. Before
it's
we
been
embraced like the
yeah.
semiconductors, we really tried very hard to get semiconductor industry. And we did all these things. And hold on one second, sorry. And then, sorry. So we tried very hard to be on top of semiconductor manufacturing, and then um, a lot of other things too. Um, we embraced novelty. Aerospace manufacturing, we tried very hard to be number one in aerospace. But we've lost that in America. We no longer see opportunities in new technologies. We see only threats. Even AI, we're doing it, but then people in America are the most negative in the world about AI. Everyone's terrified of AI. In Japan, I think people are not terrified. No one's
But
terrified of
if
AI that I ever talked to.
seems like that we are repeating the same history. It's a line, there's a line in history always. But do you, but if so, why
Mhm.
can't people change their mindset? Oh, this happened, 200 years ago. We learned in the history class, or we shouldn't be worried about the change in physical space. So why doesn't that happen?
Um, because because an individual human can understand history. An individual human is smart. A group of humans is not so smart. When humans get in a group, political pressures and competition and kind of power dynamics and poor communication and rivalries and all kinds of things come into play.
Hmm?
And groups of people are not as good at making decisions. Individuals can make good decisions or they can make bad. They're very high variance, right? You can get someone like Xi Jinping or, Donald Trump that makes stupid decisions, or you can get a very good leader who makes really good decisions, but it's risky. But when you have groups of people make decisions, it's very hard for them to change. Who takes responsibility? Who exercises power? Who has the ability to get things done? If I want Japan to get a lot of Greenfield investment tomorrow, who can I talk to? Who should I talk to?
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, before I would talk to the advisors of Abe-san 10 years ago.
Mhm.
But now the Abe-san is gone and his advisors are gone and the leaders are back to the sort of like party insider type of guys.
Mhm.
Like who don't have a strong, you know, ability to get things done. So who can I talk to? I'll talk to everyone. I'll give this idea to everyone. But even if I give the idea to everyone, it doesn't mean that someone will do anything. Because someone has to take responsibility. Someone has to exercise power and take responsibility and say, you know what? This Noah Smith guy, he's right about this. Let's do it. Maybe if I can meet the like vice ministers of like Keisansho and Zaimusho and the head of Jetro also. Maybe together those guys could do something. Traditionally in Japan, a strong bureaucracy helped to compensate for weak political leadership. But I don't know if that's still true. So anyway, when you figure out who I should talk to, please let me know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I talked to many, people from, Ministry of Economy and Industry, so we'll let you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, thanks for sharing a lot. But I think you share a lot already. But if you have any, since our audience are founders, writers,
Mm.
and content creators, if you have any advice to those people in this situation, world economics, if you could share some advice, we'd love to
Advice to
share.
writers or to founders?
Uh, Both if you could
Oh,
share
sure.
some.
Well, to writers, I think um, don't be afraid to say what you think, but be friends with all the other writers and talk to them a lot. Interact with them in a community of writers. Too many writers fall into, there's two big traps I see. The first trap is to only write your own things and don't listen to what other people write. Don't do that. You should engage with the community. The second trap is almost the opposite trap. It's to fight, fight, fight with everybody. Don't do that. Yes, if you disagree, you can argue, but then usually you should be building on other people's ideas. Be constructive. So that's my advice to writers. Also, of course, write more. Just please write more.
Mhm.
Would you write
And
more?
pardon?
Because you said you have hundreds of ideas. Would you write more? You could technically ship like at 1 to 2 posts per day, right?
Yeah.
Technically.
When AI helps me more, I'll write more. No, I've been focusing on fewer but longer pieces. When I write shorter things, I can write 10 a week. If I write, you know, 1,200 words, but if I'm writing 2,500 or 4,000 words, I can't write as many per week. So it depends on what I think people want to read. But lately I've been enjoying writing longer pieces, but then I might go back to shorter soon. Remember, it's my hobby. I'm doing my hobby as a job. To founders in Japan, this is my advice.
Oh, no, no, it's not only in Japan, but US or any countries, I think. Oh,
Oh,
yeah. If you have any advice.
um, well, I have very different advice to people in the two countries. To founders in America, um, to founders in America, my advice is don't go through the standard procedure of being a founder. America has standardized entrepreneurship too much.
Mm.
Seed round, Series A, Series B. Go through Y Combinator. Here's your comparables. Here's how much traction you should have at Series A, blah, blah, blah. Incubators, accelerators, all these things. In the old days, entrepreneurs would just venture into the wilderness. Bill Gates didn't know how likely it was to succeed. Maybe he'd just totally fail. He had no idea. He didn't know about Series B or, he didn't go through Y Combinator. He just went into the wilderness. Mark Zuckerberg,
Yeah.
too. Or a lot of these people, the Google people, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, didn't have any, he was just trailblazing, he just hacking into the woods, just venture off into the woods. Now, too many entrepreneurs just do a standard procedure.
Mm.
You have to explore
Yeah, I
more.
know I know some founders, their goal is like getting into YC so that once they get into YC, then okay, we're done. And so they forgot what to do next. They shouldn't be like that.
Yeah. Yes. Go into the wilderness. Be a true entrepreneur, not just a founder. To Japanese founders, my advice is dream very big. Not so you can be a billionaire, but so you can build up society. Like Matsushita, like he was a guy a long time ago, like 1910s. Matsushita, was it Konosuke?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. He he didn't care about being super rich. He cared about Japan, so he cared about his country, but I think more he wanted society to have a lot more stuff. And he just wanted to build this big organization that could give society what it needed.
Mm.
That is a good reason to build a big organization. And I think, honestly, even if you look at the people who get very rich, like Yanai-san, right? Or Mikitani-san, or these Japanese guys who get rich, they didn't do it to get rich. I mean, maybe they wanted to be rich, but they didn't want to be that rich. That was accident. That was an accident. What they wanted was to build a big organization, to give everybody good food, good stores, something like that. They wanted people to have stuff, so they wanted to build a big organization to give stuff for the world. And I feel like Japanese entrepreneurs or founders have lost this dream to some degree. Instead, they want to get rich, but they only want to get rich enough to live a good life in Japan. You IPO for $100 million on Mothers or something, and then you're rich enough to afford like a good house in Yogi Uehara or wherever you want, and then you can, go to some nice bars and get like, whiskey with ball ice for like, niman yen per glass, and then you're done. That's all the money you need in Japan. Because they want money, but they're satisfied with only a little amount of money.
Mhm.
Like the amount of money they make, I can make just writing a blog. But
Yeah.
but what they should be motivated by is build something bigger. Build organizations. That's what I think Japanese founders have forgotten, is to build something big to help the world. Anyway,
Dream big.
that's my advice.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, last question, because I gotta go.
Last question is, since Grasp is a platform where people share what they're reading, learning as their digital legacy, we want to ask this question. So what legacy or impact do you want to leave behind for future generations?
Um, I would like people to be a little more reasonable.
Mm.
I want people to, think about ideas instead of just taking, doing what their own political side says they should do, or just repeating what other people say, or just, I want people to think about ideas instead of trying to sound smart or trying to sound politically correct. I want people to not be extreme in their thinking and to understand the limits of their own knowledge. I just want people to be reasonable, because the purpose of society is not to be reasonable. The purpose of society is for everyone to be happy. But if reason is a good tool, it's the most powerful tool that we have as humans, and that will continue to be true in the age of AI. People need to just be reasonable. And I hope I leave the world a more reasonable place than I found it.
So yeah, we should read more about your content, I think, newsletter, maybe. Yeah.
Well, thanks. If you
That's-
do,
that's one way, yeah.
thanks in advance, but you don't have to, but if you enjoy it, please do.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, and thank you so much for joining today. Yeah. We
Thank
really
you.
learned a lot. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Until next time.
Yes.
Yeah.